legal function. She is head of monitoring and remediation of the firm. She operates out of Mumbai office and has over 21 of years of extensive experience in practicing audit services and leading audit quality initiatives. Industry expertise includes insurance, financial services, and manufacturing. She is responsible for operation of ISM 1 and 2. She is responsible for coordination and conduct of all regulatory reviews and global reviews. She is also part of the global quality review team. She possesses in-depth knowledge of standards of auditing, both Indian and international, quality standards IQM 1 and 2, SQC 1, methodology, IFRS, company law, accounting standard, Ind AS, IFRS, IPO related matters and other statutes. She also expert knowledge of audit tools. She has delivered more than 100 lectures. This one is 101 sessions in the past 5 years. Member of Center of Excellence for Insurance Topic Working Group on Group Audits, especially invited to Ethical Standards of Board of ICI. She is a contributor of various publications of ICI and WIRC like non-company financial statement, insider trading, NFRA, orders and comparisons, etc. She has been awarded the title Star Woman of WIRC by WIRC of ICI in March 24. With this, I request Padmashree Madam to deliver her lecture. Thank you, Madam.
Before that, I request our past members to give a momento and bouquet for our loving. Hello. We welcome Madam with a lot of applause.
Thank you so much. Good morning to all. About to be good afternoon. Yeah, thanks so much, Kailash sir. Thanks so much to the entire JV Nagar Study Circle. I think it's so much of love and affection had come last year. I think in and around June, July, and this year also in June, July. So I'm really the gathering over here, the number of questions that we have is actually very fantastic, and it's always lovely to come back here anytime. Thanks a lot. This is something that we do every year, every day, or rather multiple times in a day. So the guidance note on certification is existing from 2016, right? Yes? How many of us follow it? Okay. Everyone is aware of it? Yes. But are we following it in letter or in spirit? No. There may be n number of reasons, various reasons why we are not able to do it. Because the client just comes to us, certificate चाहिए. अभी चाहिए, एक घंटे में चाहिए, आधे घंटे में चाहिए. मेरे को टेंडर भरना है, मुझे इधर जाना है, मुझे उधर जाना है, right? That's how our everyday works. Are we right? Yes. And that's why we are not able to actually pay more attention into these things. So two important things to note. There is always this, what do you say? Always this tendency to think that FRA will look into only listed company and it will look into only audit files. Is it true? Is it true? No. In public interest or in terms of the exchequer interest, it can look at anything. There was one case on the ATIA certificate, right? Yeah. So because it was not appropriate and because it was not true, imagine a sole proprietor or a very small CA firm getting penalized by an amount of 30 to 50 lakhs and with a 10-year debarment. What is the next step available? Open a vada pav stall, right? So that's a time bomb that we are sitting on. You don't know when it will explode and what will happen next. Because the professional due diligence that would have been applied and the format that should have been used and the compliances with the guidance note, these things were grossly missing. Even in volume 3 of Code of Ethics, you will see a lot of two combinations I have seen in volume 3 of Code of Ethics in whenever there's a professional misconduct case, right? Maximum it will be with NOC cases. Do we all agree? And the second thing is on certificate. Okay? Client is always in a hurry. Client is always in a hurry and he will always be wanting you to do what he wants. But as Pinky ma'am, I think, mentioned few minutes ago, it's very necessary that we should do what is supposed to be done by us. It's very important. So that same client who will make you run from pillar to post for the purposes of giving the certificate in the format that you want will not come to help you if there is a issue from the institute or if there is an issue from NFRA. Is that true? Yes or no? Yes. He says, I don't do whatever is required. You should have done what is required. How am I responsible for that? So it's more and more necessary for us to keep our eyes and ears more and more open and be more receptive and be more professional in terms of how we apply all these guidance notes. Now, why is this guidance note of 2016 coming to surface in 2025? It's not that it was underground, but it was always there. Few of us are following it, few of us are not following it. There's one more exercise, I think, last time when Vishal Doshi sir had come here. And last time there was one, he showed the CAQD, what all initiatives have been taken, if I'm not wrong, right? So CAQD is again taking another initiative because certificates is one such area where there are lots and lots of risky things that are being issued by practitioners. So trying to come out with a checklist and the utility in terms of what can be done for certificates so that everyone is aware of the engagement letter utility, right? So multiple engagement letters you can generate at one go. All you need to do is the basics that you will have to fill in and then at one go you will be able to generate multiple engagement letters. Similarly, a utility is being thought about, being developed, though it is very difficult, but then at least what do you say normal usage word, basic detail होगा तो बन जाए, right? फिर आप उसको tweak करो, फिर आप उसको नहीं tweak करो, at least basic होगा तो बन जाए so that no one misses on any of the para of the format of the certificate which is otherwise necessary. Right? So that is something that is being thought about and also in the background of certain regulatory concerns that are looming around these certificates. This exercise is again coming on to surface, not that it was not applicable all this while. What? But hello? Yeah. It was applicable. Yeah. Hello? So this has become more and more important, and this has been has come to surface. So through this, at the end of this, we also. You are audible. You are audible. I'm loud enough. Certified. Sorry. Certified नहीं है. Certified नहीं है. Oh, CSA certificate मांगा था दिया नहीं इसलिए. Because everything CSA certificate मांगता है ना. Anything and everything. So there was one certificate just in the meantime I'll share you that someone came saying that director को fit and proper वाला certificate देना है. So we said क्या होना चाहिए उसमें? वो बोलते हैं mentally sound भी देना है. ये लोग को भी देने लग गए. Mentally sound. Proper mentally sound. So yeah. Okay. So वो fit and proper mentally sound भी हम लोग भी देंगे तो फिर हम लोग बोले नहीं डॉक्टर को क्या करेंगे? उसमें मैं लेके हम नहीं देते. Right? So they can ask for anything from us and say, go to a bank for a loan, you go to bank for something else, you go to some other place for something else, yes, it's certified करके आओ. As if you're sitting with a standpad and a stamp in your right hand and left hand out, right? So this is that practice that we have to be completely cultivated. So taking 2 more minutes before we start off to the actual text. How many of us still keep to whomsoever it may concern self? To whomsoever it may concern? Please not enough. Okay? 35 proof of is? 35 proof of is? Not enough. Right? Not enough. You're not supposed to certify something openly as a true copy of something like that. It's not possible. It's not allowed at all. Right? When it comes to the state of it, yeah? Okay. Already thanks to answer. There are some other cases. It has not been fully certified. Your own balance sheet side is fully certified. Someone else in the balance sheet fully certified. कभी कभी तो आधार कार्ड और पैन कार्ड भी fully certified. हाँ.
सबको तो वोटर मान लेते हैं.
Can you give that?
क्यों मानते हो?
They can give that. Who are you to authenticate Aadhaar card? I am the holder. Does that give me the right to authenticate Aadhaar card? Answer is no. I cannot.
Actually क्या होता है मैडम बैंक में जब लोन के लिए आते हैं एप्लीकेशन बैंक में दे बैंक पीपल व्हाट दे डू दे गिव यू नंबर ऑफ पेपर और उसमें आधार कार्ड पैन कार्ड लेटर कार्ड भी है they make everything to copy then they ask you they are not allowed to stand
But in bank audit, we are doing bank audit, and in bank, they are not never asking to certify by C. इन लोगों ने पहले से बैंक के एम्प्लॉई ने को बना रखा दिमाग में and they are following that only. But कहीं नहीं लिखा हुआ है कि आपको CS से सर्टिफाई करवाना है. कहीं नहीं लिखा हुआ है वो खुद की जिम्मेदारी बचाने के लिए खुद की रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी बचाने के लिए वो CS के ऊपर डाल दिया.
That's what I'm coming to. Basically, everything. Everyone is getting an escape route by just actually catching hold of someone and putting the responsibility on that person, and that we are taking for the laws of person saying that we are taking knowingly, unknowingly, unfortunately, we take that. Okay. Then there is a scam in the account. It becomes an NPA. Inquiry happens, and then the person who has certified nurse will get into trouble. Right? So this is a this is a normal thing. Normal thing. Okay. So we have to be careful. We have to be mindful. अगर पूरी ठप्पी पेपर भी अपने पास आती है, what is it that I want to certify? I have to be very careful. And certified true copy is long gone by. There is nothing called certified true copy. There is nothing called certified true copy. If you have verified, write down in the certificate what is it that you have verified, match it with the underlying particulars, and then give a certificate or a letter in the form of like what you have done, and then you affix it and give it. There's nothing called as a certified true copy. There's nothing called as mutual agreement answer. These two things are gone out of the window long time. Yes. There's an announcement which very specifically mentioned about these things. We'll come to the FAQs also because this is something that is actually worrisome. Okay. Yesterday I was watching a movie basically going South movie which is available in India also, Kubera Cricket. For the purpose of money laundering, he catches hold of some beggar. He opens some company in the name of the beggar. Beggars basically people who they have chosen people in that movie who have no one to ask for. Again, kitchen is no one to ask for. And then they create a company and then they do the money laundering by setting up some accounts in their name and making them CEO and MD to the company. Okay, they create all the documents. So, you know, from a movie perspective, it's different, but it is somewhere it is happening also, right? So there, those kind of balance sheets, because the amounts that get involved on the transactions that can get involved in thousands of crores. So maybe he's giving a lucrative fees and people fall into it. And then when those companies go bust, that is when it falls on the people who are certified it. And a very typical example of, you know, how these things can happen. There's a catch hold of any level sitting anywhere, make him a CEO of company. And they show how to sign also, make some design, sign, and then they do that, thinking that it is a sign. So it's very scary at times, right? So when I saw that instead of that, the thing that went into my mind is what about those people who are certifying such kinds of accounts? Because they make a company, they will float it, they will do everything. And then there will be certification, incorporation of such companies also, which are unmarried. Right? So we have to be very careful, very diligent on what is it that we are doing. Yeah, background, spoke about and we know that few of the do's and don'ts also from the guidance note of certificate will come to types of certificate. Examples, please. Network, most common. Okay, types of network. Turnover, yeah. Balance ticket monthly account.
And you said network.
And you said the most scariest one, yes.
Various type of certificate.
Yeah. What else?
Network.
Network, yeah. No statutory.
Not CA.
Okay. So certificates.
All MCA codes are.
All NCA programs. So basically, there are certificates which are to be issued as per statute, that is maybe as per income tax, as per RERA, as per RLE, as per RBI, whatever is the statute, which is defined under the specific section that this has to be certified by a CA or an auditor. Yes. And second type is all those other things where you are statutorily not required to, but client wants you to give it. Right? So, yeah, so one statutorily required, others, second is others. Right? Again, within that, two parts, one where you are auditor and one where you are not auditor. Okay? From the risk profiling, many of the firms have made it a policy that if I am not the auditor, I will not be a because I don't know you.
Yes.
I don't know you. I don't know what do you do. I don't know what does your account speak of. I don't know anything in and out of the company. You're just walking in and telling me that give me a certificate. I'm not going to give you. That is from the risk profiling. Some of the firms are doing. But maybe we are not able to, everyone is not able to do that. Right? So then, what is it that has to be done? Is again very important. You need to know that you are not certifying something like mentally sound, something other and type of certification, something that is actually directly coming from the audited financial statements. You have to do only such things which are very less interest. We cannot certify everything. We have to classify there what is risky, what is not risky. Is that right? Yes? Yes. Are we doing that? Okay. So please reflect, please think about. This is where it is very important to also distinguish. One is your auditor, not an auditor, required by statute, not required by statute. And then again, certificate can be reasonable assurance and moderate assurance limited assurance. What is reasonable assurance? Let us rewind those examples that we have given. Network certificate, reasonable assurance or limited assurance? How many for reasonable? Limited assurance? Limited. Okay. So there is an argument that it is largely limited assurance because one network certificate, network definition is already there is something that for 2013 earlier it was not there. So whenever you give a network certificate, it is attached to the company. If that specific tender or that specific requirement needs you to calculate network in a specific manner, then you put a note saying that this is not as per law. And it is as required under the specific tender or what. Okay. That you should always do because prima facie will always fall back on Companies Act, right? And the statute. That is first thing. Now, limited assurance side, you're directly taking the numbers from the audited balance sheet. And you are only doing the tracing and combination. So why do you want to give a reasonable assurance? We all know reasonable assurance is far more stretched than the limited assurance. And limited assurance is nothing has come to my attention. It's really negative assurance. Correct? So why do you want to give a reasonable assurance? You can limit it with limited assurance. Right? Taking another example, 15 CV, it's already written there as 2 and correct. So it's much more than reasonable assurance. Right? So you have to be extra careful over there. CSR utilization certificate. Generally reasonable because you have to do all the testing and everything. Right? End use certificate can be reasonable because you need to do a lot of testing here. Right? Buyback certificate can be limited assurance because you're only doing the calculation. So please start thinking about all the certificates that you are going to issue in this combination. Number one, decide whether it is required by the statute. If yes, then go ahead. If not, think about whether it is risky to me or otherwise. If you want to drop out of it, right? And third thing, then think about whether it is reasonable or limited. Without making these decisions, do not put your hands to issue a license. This is the basic thinking that all of us have to do. You all know this. This is not something new. You all know this. But the question is, how many of us are doing? Right? So in all the certificates that you have issued in the last month, just make an analysis mentally yourself that have I applied all this. Okay? If no, yes, there is some risk going ahead, I have to. It is very important. How do we protect ourselves? Type of certificates, points to consider in deciding the type of certificate and whether it is reasonable or whether it is limited. I'm not reproducing the guidance note here rather than taking out more practical points here because guidance note we all have read and can read at any point in time. So no paragraph of guidance notes produced here. These are actually mix of some of the pieces from the guidance note plus some practical answers. So we have from the practical guidance. Yeah. Some of the things that we have to think about when we are deciding whether it is reasonable or limited. Nature of financial reporting. Use of selective testing. Inherent limitations of internal control. This is when you don't know all these things, people don't issue certificate. That means when I know I'm a statutory auditor, I know the internal control, I know the management, I know the background, I know the business, I know what are the problems, I know the IFCs. Is that right? When you are not an auditor, maybe it is one time okay. And you don't know any of these things. And maybe you're also worried that if you ask him all these questions, he will go away. Right or wrong? And then he asks you for a question. You think you issue a certificate in the hope that it will come back for a statutory audit. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes.
Or tax away. Right? So when a new client comes to you for a certificate, you issue a certificate and try to, adapt to the language that he is giving in the hope that there will be more business or more trade from him. But in that, are you thinking how much risk you are making into is the point that we have to analyze. Right? The fact that much of the evidence available to the practitioner is persuasive rather than conclusive. When it is persuasive, it will be reasonable assurance. And when it is more conclusive, it will be limited assurance. That is when I say when you are calculating, when you are only doing the calculation of net worth, when you are only doing the buyback calculation, that is when you will issue limited assurance and not reasonable assurance. And when you are doing the entire, end use in the sense that when you are doing that complete tracing, posting everything, then that will be more of personal experience. That will become reasonable assurance. It is very necessary for you. Right? Nature of procedures to be performed in a specific situation. So one important question here. Is sampling allowed when you are doing a certification? How many know? Okay. So in certifications where there is true and correct. Okay. The certifications where it is true and correct, there is a very little scope for scoping or sampling. Otherwise, that is not allowed to do. Okay. So you can use sampling, can use material. Yeah. So where you have to do calculation, there is no scope for using anything. So error has to be sorted out. Where you are doing something like say that custom refund kind of certification where you used to do what is passed on to the client or not passed on to the client. Whether the duty is passed on to the client, a special duty, whether it is passed on to the client, used to a certification saying that as per our understanding and to the best of our knowledge, nothing is passed on. Everything that is supposed to be is passed on to the client. Principle of natural justice and so you had hundreds of bits of trading, hundreds of import documents, and then the corresponding sale documents wherein the respective advantages passed on to the client. So you will have to correlate the respond. In that case, because of the size and the volume, you will have to do a sampling. That is one case. IPO proceeds. IPO proceeds cannot be 100% verified all the time. There it will be sampling. Okay. So there are a number of these kind of examples where you can use sampling, where you can use material. But where there is true and correct, there is very less scope for including sampling. Even the guidance note on tax only talks about sampling. So the 37 clause that you have with respect to your TDS. So pre-trading is true and correct. Guidance note that para talks about sampling. Are you able to do 100% verification of TDS reduction, not reduction, no reduction? Those four clauses when the tax for transfer. Any types? Yes, no? You can't. It's not possible. There are reversal entries, there are short reduction entries, there are less taxation rates, there are different types of customers. Their sampling is allowed. So there are situations where you can do sampling also. Right? So what is the type of procedure that you perform in a specific situation that also guides on to whether you are giving reasonable assurance or you are giving Limited assurance. Limited assurance largely is a straightforward calculation. Straightforward calculation. Use of professional judgment in gathering and evaluating evidence, forming conclusions based on that evidence. Most important, where you get professional judgment. Not available on Amazon, Flipkart. Right. It only comes to you with experience and time handling certain situations. And also the instinct that we hold. But sometimes we know. It's just that we know that something is not right. And we just go by our instinct. We don't want to issue something, saying that there's something amiss here, there's something that I know that it is not right, and I don't want to go with this. And then later on you realize that yes, it was good that I did touch that specific assignment. Right? It has happened with all of the day. Yeah? In some cases, characteristics of underlying subject matter, then evaluated or measured against the criteria. So, what is it and how you have matched? So, one thing very important, when I come to you to say, Madam, please issue a certificate, always ask these questions. One, whether I'm statutory auditor or not a statutory auditor. Second question, is there or limited assurance? What is the underlying? Third question, whether that company had already got done an audit and then I'm issuing a certificate on those numbers or I'm issuing something on unaudited. And what am I certifying? This is again the most important question. What am I certifying? What is it that I'm comparing it with what? So if I have to say, this is of good quality, it's a singular statement. But certificate is not like that. Because I'm not certifying product. Right? I cannot certify a product. Me as a CA certified that this thing is working well. No. Yeah. So because this is more of a product, maybe on the working condition, someone will give a certificate, maybe on the parts, someone will give a certification. But I cannot issue a singular certificate. So, on what is it that I am certifying? If compared with this, what is it? That means net worth figures derived from balance sheet, buybacks, before issue, after issue. Right? Merger, accounting treatment as compared to India's accounting standard. So there has to be something that I'm doing with this. There has to be a framework or there has to be some supplement, there has to be some matter that I'm looking into, otherwise I'm not doing the certification. Always remember certification cannot be in a singular manner. That this is in a good working condition or what? I can never do that. Right? So that is something very important to remember. Need for engagement to be conducted within a reasonable period of time and reasonable cost. Very important. Right? And it should be half an hour. Certificate is of time. Right now, yes, yes. For every, yeah, every time you onboard, there has to be KYC, there has to be engagement. Not because it is a documentation requirement. It is for your safety. So that is why I give an example of beggar maybe KYC that person is not someone who is just emerging out of somewhere, doesn't have any history geography, and also an engagement letter to legally bind the other party to say that you are supposed to do that. And if you give a false information, then I'm not responsible. That has to be there in your engagement letter. The standard engagement letter usually has that. So you can generate that in bulk. Right? Engage sufficient. Now this is again very important. How many of us have issued a qualified certificate? Exactly, sir. That is the point. The client लेगा नहीं इसके लिए हम देते हैं. Right. So that is another question. मतलब आपके पास एक कंपनी का स्टैट्यूटरी ऑडिटर रहता है. उसको पहले से आते हैं कि सर्टिफिकेट इश्यू करो. वो मना करता है तो उसके के पास आते हैं. तभी हमने पूछा उसने मना क्यों किया. Exactly. That gives you answer to a lot of questions. जब मेरे पास statutory auditor है, वो क्यों नहीं कर रहा? Why have you come to me? That should be, that is a big risk assessment question. That is where your antenna should be up, right? Why have you come to me? And if you find that something wrong, issue a qualified certificate. I know it's very rare commodity, but it does exist. Do we all know that we are statutory auditors when we issue our certificate? It is called. It is called. What is it called? Independent auditor's report. And when you are a non-statutory auditor, what is it called? Practitioner's report. There is a main distinction. By reading the heading, I've seen this multiple times. There is no heading on. So you cannot distinguish. So the guidance note makes a very clear distinction. If you are the statutory auditor, it is called independent auditor's report on so and so and so. If you are not the statutory auditor, then it should be called practitioner's report of so and so. So it is similar to your difference between SRE 2410 and 2400. Right? 2410 is done by an auditor, 2400 not done by.
When they are issuing the network certification for an institution,
Correct?
for an individual,
हाँ.
that's not the point.
हाँ, so you should practitioner, sir. Practitioner report. It is not auditor. Wherever you are auditor, then only it is auditors. And where you are not auditor, it is always a practitioner.
It was, and was it just that was it?
There is-
Version of reporting now.
No, the format itself is in the form of the report. The heading is independent auditors report or practitioner. Right.
That is auditors report. So far as the individual's network.
The work says there is nothing called as a certificate. It is called as an auditor's report or a practitioner's report. If you are an auditor, it is auditor's report. If you are a practitioner, yeah.
What about when you have the design? You mentioned practitioner report. We only mentioned auditor only.
I'll come back to you. Yeah.
What are technical many cases like when they give particular soft format एक category इसी में चाहिए which is वो सब responsibility secured for the compliance of CA बना देते हैं कि at the end पकड़ने के लिए तो CA को करेगी तो हम मैं तो कहता हूँ modify करता हूँ different मैं देखो ये format मुझे चाहिए मैं इसको modify करके अपना reasonable assurance वाला मैं दे देता हूँ तो वो हम करते तो मैं तो करता हूँ
So, आपके
एक्चुअली क्या कर सकते हैं गाइडेंस कैसी है
our guidance note में एक paragraph है. There are formats that are issued by the statutes. जैसे कि ये statutes या फिर required by the legal. जैसे एक्सेल बता रहे हैं कि वो इनका बैंक का फॉर्मेट होगा या फिर कोई रेट कोवेलेंट होता है नहीं रेट कोवेलेंट होता है उसका फॉर्मेट होगा. Yeah. So उसमें क्या होता है? The guidance note tells you. You issue the certificate in the format that I have told you. If there is a rejection, or if you know that there is a rejection, then you issue that in the format that they want. If it is too much of responsibility, then you have to delete. I'm not touching that part. Other than that, if they have a specific format, issue it in that format, and many of us what we do as a practice is issue something as a covering letter. Or a letter along with a certificate which has all the particulars that the guidance note tells us and give a cross reference both in the certificate that this certificate has to be read in conjunction with my letter, even dated letter. Okay, and in the covering letter we give a reference saying that this has to be this is in conjunction with the certificate issued or the report issued UDN so and so letter dated so and so. And that has to go together. If the client separates your letter, gives only the certificate, and the guy who is accepting accepts it, tomorrow something goes wrong, and someone is put into a case, you can always say this is not mine. I have given this, please see this line. So that line should get reflected in both the certificate and on the letter, which will connect each other. And all the particulars, management responsibility, auditor responsibility, restriction of use, all that we cannot write over there, will write in the file. This is the way that you have to do
But
it.
you are not writing the certificate itself.
Huh?
Writing the certificate is that will put them.
If so, if you are able to modify the certificate, nothing like it, sir.
Instead of giving an extra letter.
No, but the point is, at many places, they don't accept anything other than their format. That is why I'm saying you can use one line. It says this certificate has to be read in conjunction with my letter dated such.
Madam, instead of that covering letter, what he says is very that even I, because in the certificate itself, there's responsibility and all over that, and that format is also there, and the both becomes one certificate.
Sir, absolutely I agree. That is the best way to do it.
Well, you're not changing format.
No format is.
That's not, I think, format is not changed, but yours is,
No, but there are many cases where they don't even allow you to add any single paragraph there. That is the, so,
there is a.
yeah. So basically three ways. One is give it in the guidance note format, excellent, completely compliant. Second, try to add all those things into our standard, into the standard that is given by the client, still very good version. There are times when you are in a deadlock situation, nothing can be done, he doesn't agree to anything whatsoever. Okay? Then you give it in the letter. So that's the last option basically.
But they will not take the cognizance of the letter itself.
That's his problem. That's his problem, sir. Because you are writing your certificate and in the letter both. If he is not taking into cognizance, it is his problem. That's what I'm saying. If something goes wrong and the client has separated your letter and given only the certificate, it is his problem. He is legally wrong.
So long as you are
And the
giving a,
other guy is also not asking for it. Like, what is this written? I need that other letter also. Then it is his problem as well.
When you are talking about this, we have issued limited report with qualification. Limited review with qualification. We are like already, someone me, and they asked me, why did you issue the limited report with qualification? Because bank has not limited qualification, and they have still the loan of say 50 crores. Why we have issued the limited report only? They have issued the qualification, what is the model with that? But they are not able to understand this thing.
If they are not able to understand it, please file your reply, writing saying that,
That is closed.
yeah. No, but that is the practical.
We have taken the approval from the IS.
Exactly. You have to. These are practical issues, sir. I very much understand these things and these things are very much there. So, but then we have to protect our. Right? We have to protect our interests. Option one as per the guidance note. Option two, include the guidance note paragraph into the format. Option three, when nothing works, is the attachment letter and don't forget to make a reference to the certificate because somehow you can at least convince the guys to include one line. वो भी नहीं है तो फिर then no issue with it.
The global boundary for the CA. So you say it is to be titled as, or I think, what is the
Yeah, if you are not the auditor. If you are not the auditor. Citation report.
You have not to write certificate.
No, sir. There is nothing for a certificate.
Yeah, the certificate. Mention.
The title,
Yeah, title.
yeah, if you open the guidance note and if you see the title, it says independent auditors report on net worth of the company dated 31st March 2025. Practitioners report on net worth for the company dated 31st March 25. It's like that. So there is nothing more than the certificate as a header. And नीचे भी जब आप यहाँ पर आते हैं तो जब भी हम reasonable assurance opinion पैरा पे आते हैं so we generally give opinion when it is reasonable assurance and it is conclusion when we give limited assurance limited review can right तो जब भी हम opinion देते हैं वहाँ पे what we write based on our best of our knowledge and inspection examination the following is listed net worth figures have been cut out as per annexure 1 has been cut out from the audited balance sheet and it is matching with the balance sheet. So that is when I said whenever you are certifying it is never a singular statement. What is it with what? If you start doing that, you will yourself understand that a lot of things go away. Because you have to do something, something. Like an LP thing like net worth calculated is right. No, net worth is from the derived from the balance sheet and it is calculated as per Companies Act or as per clause number so and so the data event. Something has to be there. Why are you issuing a certificate? So in the purpose and the scope where you say client has appointed us to verify or calculate or certify the net worth as per Companies Act section 2 or in accordance with the clause number so and so of the debt covenant, in accordance with so and so that when you make that statement, then you will only reproduce that statement when you come into opinion.
Certify or report.
Certify, report, verify.
Anything is done use. Report or certify.
Yeah. Because it's generally when you come to the opinion side, it's like as per my examination and verification. It doesn't anywhere say I like to certify. So the standard language that we are used to using is I hereby certify. That's not there anymore. That is very important to know. There's nothing called I hereby certify that everything is like this and everything is like that and this match. Rather, I have verified, examined, and this is what it is. And another important thing, net worth, we calculate, is certified. That is wrong. That's completely wrong. The underlying statement or the calculation or the annexure, whatever you call it, it has to be coming from the client. He has to stand by initial. So in the format, you will say the statement in annexure 1 is as provided to us, which we have raised. Okay? Generally, what happens? I take the balance sheet, I put the net worth, I myself certify. But exactly. So as you mentioned that उसके वजह से approach लगा लो, वैसे ही responsibility writing में उसके वजह भी दे दो. That's good. Yes. That is very important. वो annexure या statement. आपने कैलकुलेशन किया होगा, आपने देखा होगा, वेरीफाई किया होगा, उससे डायरेक्ट आया नहीं भी होगा तो भी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी किसका है? इट्स द सेम वे. फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी किसका है? मैनेजमेंट, राइट? कोई केस होता है कि ऑर्डर आया था, तब डिजिटल सिग्नेचर में अपने सबके पास दोनों में डिजिटल को बात होता है. तो पहले मैनेजमेंट का लगाना चाहिए और बाद में ऑडिटर का लगाना चाहिए. वो उठा लिया था. तो auditor certified it before the management process. And the return to 06 summons, then it went to follow the risk matter and he was a professional. Maybe वो और ये करते टाइम आधे घंटे का फर्क होगा क्योंकि whatever reason साफ लंच पे चला गया होगा या लैपटॉप शट डाउन हो गया रहेगा, क्रैश हो गया रहेगा, whatever is the reason, I don't know. Or it is done completely inadvertently. दोनों years काम में ready and set up ऐसे नहीं जल्दी डाला ये डाला हो गया. But management का पहले नहीं डाला. Simple things, silly things, but then they can foster.
But suppose we come to know the particular situation, then what's what the idea?
Of what?
That is the case. That idea has gone first, and the management sector has come before that.
You have already submitted, there is only 2 months that can be done.
Madam, state situation arise in the income tax act, no, that principal question to the first provision, and then the ITO will the further order that. What is needed, that is, what is that?
So in that situation, only what we get is paid and paid. That way, anything more than any answer. Right, sir, sorry. With that, qualified opinion is we observed about. Another important thing, most of the things are this, that is the second layer of the slide as well. Another important thing, if I have audited the financial, then I'm issuing a same network certificate. I have to also mention, so for example, my network certificate, I issue value say November, और मैंने ऑडिट रिपोर्ट इश्यू किया अगस्त में, for the first of March. Okay, so I have to write in my certificate and I have provided, I have done the audit and I have provided a modified, unmodified, whatever type of opinion dated August 20. Okay, that's one part of it. Second part of it, say for example, turnover certificate. Okay, सर एक्टिविटी में इश्यू है और मैंने क्वालिफाई किया था देन उसको मैं सर्टिफिकेट नहीं कर सकती और करूंगी तो वो सर्टिफिकेट क्वालिफाइड होना चाहिए okay they also have to make a reference that I have done the audit, I have issued the report which is modified and the impact of that qualification on this is so and so. Okay, so two things. I think last week there was an order. Was Olympics one or SC one, I don't remember. Here, Olympics one mostly. He has done a certificate, he has done a audit report, same case. Okay, audit report is qualified, good to go, no problem. But a week later, he has done a certification on those numbers, not taken cognizance of the qualification. So, professional mistake. Okay? So, be careful. Be careful. And if someone else has done the audit, again, ask the audit report. See whether it is qualified. One of the reasons that the auditor is not giving them certificate may be that it is heavy qualification. He is not even able to calculate the impact of the certificate. पूरा करेंगे recognition ही गलत है बोल के उसने adverse opinion दिया होगा वहाँ पे आप जाके certify करोगे टर्नओवर एकदम बराबर है 500 करोड़ है problem is that it is always necessary to ask the question कि आपका auditor क्यों नहीं दे रहा है उसे okay yeah call for the audit report see the audit report आपको क्लाइंट पूछ सकता है वो तो आपको क्यों चाहिए आपको सर्टिफिकेट दे दो ना right exactly so for example अगर मैडम स्टैट्यूटरी ऑडिटर है वो मना करती है सर्टिफिकेट देने में तो कुछ तो सोचा ही होगा ना अगर मैं उठा के साइन कर दूं बिना पूछे तो कल को उनको पूछेंगे तो वो वही बोलेंगे मैंने तो मना किया था तूने क्यों उठाया right that we always have to apply so there is a lot of things that we have to think about certification it's not an half an hour job and accordingly he starts free right because nothing is going to complete
चार्ज के अलावा बाकी का कुछ नहीं है मैं ना हम चार्ज करने जाने जाता हूं
हां
कैन यू ऑर्डर चार्ज दैट मेरी तो थोड़ी आता है मैडम हम चार्ज करते हैं
सच नहीं होगा
चार्ज करने में सक्षम नहीं है
सर सब तरीके तो होगा राइट आज के दिन I tell you practically example यहाँ पे 1,500 रुपए में भी सर्टिफिकेट
500 में भी होता है
नहीं this is a very touchy topic but then क्योंकि तो कोई और कहीं और जा रहा है ना तो अगर सभी का कुछ एक
एक्चुअली वो मिस करने में डालना चाहिए कम प्राइस पर
See, I want to share my one experience. I was doing the audit of the trusteeship. So they asked me one certificate that the document is with the bank. They are asking me to give the certificate for that. I asked whether I seen that documents. They are saying no, you have not seen that document, but you can give the certificate. So I told him why how you can decide that I can give certificate without seeing the document. Then they are saying that many CA have given their certificate.
right
पास they are showing the certificate
Yeah, so I told him whether you can show me the certificate what they are giving, what they are writing in their certificate, and you can't believe they are giving in writing that they have seen the document and all the documents are with them.
exactly
काउंसिल मेंबर को थोड़ी खुली हो गई मैंने उसमें उनका मेंबरशिप नंबर से उनका मोबाइल नंबर निकाला एंड आई टॉक टू देम कि आपने सर्टिफिकेट कैसे दिया क्योंकि मुझे वो डॉक्यूमेंट नहीं दिखा रहे आपको डॉक्यूमेंट दिखाया था क्या उन्होंने कहा मैडम डॉक्यूमेंट तो नहीं दिखाया था then how you can give the certificate मैडम इतनी बड़ी ट्रस्टीशिप है कुछ प्रॉब्लम थोड़ा ना होगी
Exactly.
I got that assignment because of that certificate, but I never get that certificate.
Right, ma'am.
And I don't get assignment because they insist, if you are not giving that certificate, I will debar you. from our organization. I don't know, I can't give, you show me that document, then I will give you the certificate.
वही मैंने बताया ना, कभी कभी
मतलब हमारे लिए यहाँ पर लोग इतनी बड़ी हमारे लिए है ट्रस्टी की मतलब कितनी बड़ी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है, आप समझ सकते हो कि इतने 1000 करोड़ के ट्रांजेक्शन होने वाली ये बेसिस पे उसमें हम विदाउट डॉक्यूमेंट देके सर्टिफिकेट दे रहे हैं। मैं चाहती हूँ सीए के लिए मैं डिसिप्लिनरी में डाल सकती हूँ कि विदाउट देके विदाउट डॉक्यूमेंट देके उसे सर्टिफिकेट दे रहा हूँ।
Without disclosing the name, you could have.
But yeah, experience है. And one of the things that is what I'm saying, see, our friend was
क्योंकि आप आदमी हम लोग खराब होता है।
तो वो point about reason very वो stop करना भी चाहिए, right? हाँ, considering particularly families, we have spoken about. Types Saki we have spoken about whether the particular provider is certified by management and auditor further certifies the criteria. Direct reporting, compliance laws, etc. Auditor directly certifies the compliance. For example, RBI का होता है जैसे solvency certificate, management reports, and hundreds of certificates that RBI requires after the issue of the balance sheet. So that is directly issued to the regulator. Format or layout is prescribed by law, and auditor has to certify that we spoke about 3 options. Number 1, always go by guidance note. Number 2, include it in the format. Number 3, if nothing, then go by the covering letters. This is the format of the certificate that we have been continuously speaking about. Title: indicate practitioners or auditor certificate. This is mandatory, right? There is nothing called as certificate for here. So independent auditors report, practitioners auditors report, or auditor certificate. Addressee, never ever call it to whomsoever it may concern. It has to be to a specified person only or a body only. And if they want to submit to customs, income tax, whatever, you will always give it to the board of directors. They will give it. You are never giving it to the income tax department there. Right? Unless it is like something like a 50 billion explain that you are doing online, then we NCB and all that. Apart from that, yes, yes, there should be a client request which asks you for this certificate. Do not issue any certificates no more. Okay? That is so important. So do the documentation completely. Subject matter information, point in time or period in time. What does that mean? Point in time, unwanted, period of time. So based on that, decide internal assurance this is limited assurance. Indication of applied applicable criteria against which underlying subject matter was measured or evaluated. That's what we spoke about. What are you certifying? Against what? There cannot be a singular statement and certifying that this is working. No. It has to be in comparison to what, or in accordance with what, or in line with what, or calculated as per what. You cannot just calculate net worth, it has to be as per Companies Act law, something that has to be there. There has to be a management responsibility para, which is mandatory. There has to be an auditor's responsibility para. All these are given in the illustrator. It's very straightforward. Copy-paste step. So there is nothing much to think about. You have to adopt the format here. Informative summary of the work performed. This is optional. That does not say that you can put this, you may not put this. This is optional. Many of the firms do put information summary of what is provided over there. Statement that the engagement was performed in accordance with the guidance note and you are complying with SQC1. That is again necessary. So there was a question that whether even to issue certificate have to be SQC1 compliant. Yes, of course, it is applicable to all firms. And now it is ISQ, right? And state that and statement that the firm or the partner which is the partner is in accordance with SQC1. These are all standards. Right?
So wording is auditor's certificate, not to a report.
It's auditor's report.
No.
The format. No, it is indicate whether it is independent practitioner or auditor. That's what I'm saying. Yes, yeah. Certificate is sometimes used, but very sparingly. 99% it has to be reported.
And you mentioned the certificate.
Yes, it has to be report 99%, 1% chance it can be a certificate. Then you come to the practitioner's opinion or conclusion, which spoke in detail about this on whether it is sorry, reasonable assurance positive and elaborate, and limited assurance negative. Forms of conclusion, it is in compliance with so and so, in accordance with so and so, applicable criteria properly prepared, fairly stated, and all that, and the rest of the things you all know, form names, FIM, UDIN, everything, right? Any questions on the format? All these are standard.
Yes, that is the validity. You can put as a validity of the certificate, that this certificate is valid for 50 days.
He asked you,
There is a restriction of scope pattern, right?
Validity as far as
Perpetually, it doesn't want to show certificate perpetually.
Generally, no, not that. But you have to be restriction on use para, servicing for this purpose only, should not be used for any other purpose. And even if it accidentally falls into anyone's hands, I am not responsible. So that's your restriction on scope para, which is again necessary. And if it is used by someone who is not the intended user and he wants to take any action against you, it's invalid. Because we did not issue to him.
the certificate, the opinion is allowed. The opinion.
Opinion, yeah.
It will be thought go for to be true and correct.
Like that's why.
Not the opinion.
Then that's why, when you are issuing the report, so not all, that is when I started this, not all certificates are quite correct. So that is when this reasonable assurance and limited assurance comes into picture. When you add reasonable assurance, the conclusion will say opinion. I mean, this is not a conclusion, the ultimate deliverable is opinion. And when you are giving limited assurance, it will be conclusion. True and correct is only in case when it is required by law, not necessary in every case. So true and correct is far more wider. Avoid using it, avoid using use this, and this will be more safer and better. Yeah, these all I think we already discussed very much in detail. All the statements and actions have to be coming from the management. And you have to make a statement to the management responsibility saying that this is management has verified it. You have not prepared, right? Yeah. If you are not the auditor, then internal control para will have to modify again. If you are the auditor or management auditor, add a para to state that audit was done on so and so date before was issued, which is modified and modified, whatever that is necessary. Prescribed by law, we spoke about those tax certificate, APR certificate where it is very, formatted and nothing can be changed, then with the option 3 over there. Okay. Common types of certificates issued by CA, we already saw this. So few questions basically now AUP certificate. There is a so called say 7 which is AUP. First always try the option of AUP. It's no assurance. No reasonable, no modifier, no limited. It's no assurance. It's only fact finding. I did this fact finding, this matches with this does not match with this matter over. No assurance. This is the best way to do any kind of. So certificates are gone on always and always. We try whenever they say it has to be a certificate other than what is prescribed in law. First option we try is a agreed upon procedure. No assurance at all. You told me to match this with this, it matches. It doesn't match. Matter over. And it clearly gives a para which says that this is not an audit, this is not an assurance. If you would have done more, you would have got more. We have only done the fact finding. Best option. If no, then go to the next option. That is the only basic difference between the guidance note on certificate and the AUP. There's not very many differences as such. Globally, there is only SIS 440 AP. There is nothing called as a certificate. It is only here that we have a certificate. Yeah.
Being a diploma certificate or an advanced certificate, is it paying for fee?
NATO certificate is generally a guidance for another certificate, right? It's generally cannot be an AP, no assurance, not work over there. So that is why it's limited.
It's a turnover.
Turnover also should be limited. Okay, few questions. Here I need answers, please. Can an email request from client issuing for a certificate be considered as a deemed engagement letter, or is it necessary to obtain a specific engagement letter? Yeah. So these are questions. We need two quality tests on CAQ on credit note and certificates. So I took some of these questions from there that were made by few of the participants and that we had used for the purpose of plan.
It did not depend on the type of certificate. Utilization certificate, if the email has come with this, if the. And it treated as a.
If you are using it in the salary or it is an option, it's the certificate, it makes mandatory.
I am auditor, I am. Make everything confident. They want that utilize. That email,
I'll ask you a question. Whether that certificate has the same terms and conditions as your statutory or.
No, it's a different, of course, that utilization, money is spending. We have to verify.
Well, everything that we do as an auditor or as a is a profession and it's formed by contract. If you do not have contract and if you do not have the terms and conditions, then it is problematic for us.
I have this question,
Yeah,
whether it is to be treated as an engagement.
whether it is to be treated as an engagement letter, deemed engagement letter.
But just spending amount certifying engagement letter, I have already engaged as a student.
Okay, let me ask.
Engaged,
Let me answer that.
only that he is asking this and on the basis of the and we are showing that utilization.
Exactly, but there is a reason. When you are doing an audit, you are doing an internal assurance of the entire financial statement. Here you are doing on a single financial statement type. So your responsibility is higher, heavier here.
Correct, but after verifying the amount is fine.
What I am talking about is having an engagement letter in place which will protect you. If it doesn't have terms and conditions,
I take it that way.
if it doesn't have terms and conditions, it's not a valid engagement letter. So tomorrow if something goes wrong, you do not have any base to
So that email, I am treating an engagement, they have, it does for that.
no, sir. It doesn't have any terms and conditions.
Any conclusive evidence, well, I have raised the bill and he has paid for it.
It is not about bill. It is not about.
Conclusive evidence.
No, it is not about bill. It is not about bill. It is not about evidence. It's first of all about the terms and conditions that you are dealing with the client. So we have just told you, verify my proceeds and then certify this. Why that is not a valid engagement letter is that it doesn't speak about management's responsibility, your responsibility, what are the details that they provided. Nothing it is speaking about.
But if it,
Contractually, it will be a big problem if at all something goes wrong.
but email itself is a formal engagement letter that,
You have everything in the email.
that it is all,
Yeah.
otherwise you don't require the.
But an email from a Gmail or a Yahoo is invalid. Email from a Gmail or Yahoo is invalid. Why? Because it's not, anyone can make it, yours is can. So having it countersigned digitally, physically, or having it from a valid email domain is required.
It is mentioned in anywhere.
It's the law of the land, it's legally, that is what it is.
That I understood, the bill is required from the official building. But how Gmail and Yahoo, they will go that one.
Those are the, so we can example. Email, Yahoo mail.
What you want to say that in court of law, the Gmail ID and Yahoo ID
It's not acceptable. So I'm giving pretext of that. It is not written anywhere that.
You have interest.
Yes. If something, sir, everything is rosy till it is things get rotten when it starts going back. Right? So every pin that will be pointed, sir, this is not right, this is not right, this is, I did not put this image. Someone has created it for you. So you have to have, so all these things is in risk mitigation for us as practitioners.
Abundant recall.
Yeah. Whether network certificate can be issued on the basis of provisional balance sheet. Yes, no?
So.
Yeah. It cannot be done on the basis of provisional balance sheet, but if it is unaudited balance sheet which is certified by the management, it can still do. It is not provisional balance sheet, but if it is unaudited balance sheet, you can mention that it is unaudited and then you can issue a certificate.
You have to mention that.
No. I'm saying provisional balance sheet is not allowed. Unaudited balance sheet. Yeah. That means year has ended, everything is done. It is under the process of auditing. Then you can say it is unaudited and you can give. Provisional is prospective.
Provisional is subject to check.
Huh.
It means this is certified.
Yes,
right?
management certified. When I'm saying unaudited financial statement, that means management certified.
So unaudited financials, you can't.
No, you cannot say unaudited financial, but you can give a certificate based on audited figures. So directly verifying from the books of accounts in other words.
Mentioning the fact is the certificate.
Yes, bringing in the fact in the certificate.
But you don't verify the.
One,
In case of consolidation, if I use unaudited financial statement, can I mention in the corporate financial report, I have relied on the unaudited financial statement of the very.
So now that is a very large argument, as you know. NFRA client, non-NFRA client, NFRA has issued a guidance, that sales and the group auditor has to take up all the responsibility. But guidance on the consolidation still gives you a way that, you know, you can mention that I have not audited and relied on the auditors. So it gives you three options, right? One, I have audited, one, someone else is audited, and no one has audited. And then you give that net worth and total asset and all that figures over there to actually give the perspective of what you have not audited. Now, what was the case? In one of the case, I think in I ordered only one of the cases, your balance sheet of 100 rupees, out of which unaudited and not done by me were 85. Then basically your audited could have given for 15%, which is no good at all. So that is a very delicate balance that you have to strike. NFRA has issued that guidance already, saying that group audit has to be as per SA 600 and SA 600 basis. You know, the executive SA 600, there is a lot of debate that's going on.
In unaudited financial, unaudited figures, management has given the certificate. Whether that, they can give a false turnover.
So they can do anything.
But what are precautions we should take?
Management's responsibility is already mentioned in the.
Yes. So even in audited financial statements, they must have put the auditors that they can deliberately do anything, for example. I'm just going the step by step. But when, as rightly pointed out, management responsibility is there. And in unaudited financial statements, you are not going blindly by what they have certified, but you have done your work also. And if something is something.
That case, we'll have to check also the figures.
Yes. That's where the work will increase. There's a lot of certification that is happening directly from the books of account. Whereas what we are saying is try to take it from the audited financial statement.
Madam, the AUP, what does it really means? AUP. No, so actually what it is, AUP.
Okay, so AUP is basically fact finding exercise. That, okay, I did a, for example, I did a physical verification only, I'm not an auditor. So I did a physical verification only, so it is a fact finding exercise, like the Quran, I have 3 days of books that are stored. I have done a physical verification, the quantity A1 matches with the books of account, books and records. Quantity 2, these are the discrepancies, quantity 3, these are, there is no certification, totally fact finding. 1, 2, 3, 4, I verified 1, 2, 3, 4, I matched, matching, not matching, table matter over, no assurance.
Okay.
Yeah, no opinion, nothing. Yeah, local authority requests chartered accountant certification of WIP for tender processes. CS request an engineer certified status report of the work as supporting evidence. There is uncertainty about appropriateness of certifying such statements. Authority ने खुद का connection दिया and CA को बोला आप sign कर दो. Is it okay? Is it okay?
Like the work of.
Seals of state. That it is based on engineer certificate.
This is
And just to verify.
exactly. This is one of the examples. I gave the morning. It said that certified as a director is of sound mind also. वो वैसा ही है मतलब plant capacity. I tell you there have been instances or there are instances where here the certifying plant capacity, production capacity, how many power watt that uses. It is there. Whether we like it or not, right?
Mentally sound or not.
Yeah, mentally sound or not. सब हम ही करेंगे. हम ही डॉक्टर, हम ही इंजीनियर सब.
पहला सर्टिफिकेट में बहुत लेवल किया है पहला सर्टिफिकेट मोस्ट ऑफ द ईयर नॉट टेकिंग द सर्टिफिकेट
Yeah. उसमें क्या होता है in the certificate you can use an expert also. अगर आपने एक्सपर्ट अभी रिटायरमेंट वैल्यूएशन है आपको पता नहीं ऑब्वियसली वो 1 कैरेट 2 कैरेट 0.5 0.3 0.2 में हो गया मतलब कि कौन सा क्या वो रिटायरमेंट है या नहीं मालूम तो देयर यू हैव टू हैव अ सर्टिफिकेट फ्रॉम द the registered manager or someone and then on the basis of it you have to call it out again what extra you do you have to call it out in your certificate very clearly that you have used an expert. Okay. Many plants insist on certificate for which language has been prescribed. I think we saw this option 1, 2, 3 is something that is very necessary. CF test photocopies of various papers like birth certificate, Aadhaar card, PAN card. Yes, no? Unanimous no. Right? And certified true copy of ITR, anything is not permissible at all. Okay?
Death certificate.
उनका हो जाएगा एक बार कर दे
Certificate में banks are required for both purpose and many other.
I think you cannot do that basically. Copy. हाँ, आपको वो सर्टिफिकेट का फॉर्मेट बनाना पड़ेगा एंड देन आपको उसको वेरीफाई करके फिर बाद में सब पर्टिकुलर वेरीफाई करके वेरीफाई चेक करके देना पड़ेगा ये ऐसा सर्टिफाइड कॉपी नहीं सब लोग गाइडेंस ऑन यूनिट के ऊपर बुक है हाँ इफेक्टिव है
इसमें आप पढ़िए उसमें सर्टिफिकेट का फॉर्मेट लिखा हुआ है फॉर्मेट पूरा दिया हुआ है कि इन दिस केस हाउ यू कैन गिव द सर्टिफिकेट एंड व्हाट शुड बी द फॉर्मेट ऑफ दैट सर्टिफिकेट
या इफेक्टिव का दो तीन
यूनिट में
That certification for ITR, do we need to verify from the ID model?
Yeah.
What they have planned, what they have filed. Then only we can give the certificate. If this is the as per the.
ऑलवेज
क्या सर्टिफाई किया उसमें आप उसमें इनकम सर्टिफाई कर रहे हो कि उसमें आप खाली ट्रू कॉपी मतलब जेरॉक्स कॉपी सर्टिफाई कर रहे हो क्या सर्टिफाई कर रहे हो यू हैव टू मेंशन ना इस एंड तक गए हो
सेपरेट कॉपी
मतलब उसका कैलकुलेशन भी आपने देखा है कि आपने कंप्यूटेशन भी आप सर्टिफाई कर रहे हो क्या सर्टिफाई कर रहे हो आइडिया
आपको ऑलवेज अंडरलाइन दैट्स व्हाट अंडरलाइन व्हिच वन हमेशा दिस क्वेश्चन विल
should be mentioned in your certificate कि what you are certified
डायरेक्टली आप कुछ नहीं कर सकते
Guaranteed true copy.
Sorry?
Guaranteed true copy.
नो सर
So then what of the.
the balance there is nothing for copy right either there is an audit report that is issued by special purpose audit report or at the most you can give a covering certificate saying that actually balance sheet के लिए तो कुछ होता ही नहीं है certified true copy होता ही नहीं है
मैडम पता है अभी एक ग्रुप में पहले एक सीए ने एक ग्रुप में पूछा कि मैं टेंटेटिव एंड यूज सर्टिफिकेट दे सकता हूँ
हाँ
टेंटेटिव एंड यूज सर्टिफिकेट
नहीं यार किसी को क्या होता है
अभी वो सीए मैं तो सोच रही थी उससे मैं बात करूँ अलग से जाके सीए अभी बना था एंड यूज सर्टिफिकेट टेंटेटिव कैसे हो सकता है
yeah can you certify unaudited financial statements नहीं वो कहा unaudited financial certificate unaudited financial statement तभी क्या audit करके 800 में आप रिपोर्ट दोगे नहीं तो ऐसे ही 3000 में आप prospective financial statement दोगे this is another important question कि कहीं भी आप कोई भी रिपोर्ट इश्यू करते हो first ask the question under what framework हर एक चीज के लिए स्टैंडर्ड है जनरल पर्पस फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट है तो 700 है, स्पेशल पर्पस है तो 800 है, स्पेसिफिक एलिमेंट्स है तो 805 है, प्रोस्पेक्टिव फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट है तो 3000 है, एंड अभी सस्टेनेबिलिटी स्टैंडर्ड है तो 3400 है। तो हर एक के लिए एक स्टैंडर्ड है और हर एक के लिए एक एयूपी है, गाइडेंस नोट है सर्टिफिकेट का। अगर आप ऐसा कुछ करने वाले हो जो किसी भी स्टैंडर्ड में नहीं बैठता तो फिर क्यों मत ही करते। आप लिस्ट बनाओ और सोचो कि मैं रिपोर्ट किस पे इश्यू करूंगा, कभी भी रिपोर्ट आप इश्यू करेंगे ना आपको पूछना ही पड़ेगा एज पर विच स्टैंडर्ड। अगर कोई स्टैंडर्ड नहीं फिट हो रहा है तो देन मत करना, राइट, दैट इज मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट। गुड्स हैव बीन डिस्ट्रॉयड बाय फायर, कितना डिस्ट्रॉय हुआ उसका सर्टिफिकेट से।
Okay, sir. Good.
This is a confusing answer, right? We cannot directly certify anything over here. We can certify to the extent that पहले का बुक्स का एंड फिजिकल वेरिफिकेशन, बाद में का बुक्स का एंड फिजिकल वेरिफिकेशन दोनों का इतना बैलेंस है, ऐसा करके एयूपी इशू कर सकते हैं इसमें कोई सर्टिफिकेट नहीं। या स्टॉक स्टेटमेंट, कैन इट बी मेंशन्ड दैट द स्टॉक हैज नॉट बीन काउंटेड फिजिकली? Exactly. Can only the stock statement duly stamped signed by the member to be submitted? Never. Never. Okay. Can a statutory auditor issue a certificate attesting to the augmentation of installed production capacity arising from commission of additional plant? बिल्कुल नहीं। Case of turnover certificate required for submission to multiple partners in connection with different tenders. Can a single certificate be issued for general purpose? एक रिक्वेस्ट आया था एक फ्रेंड को, उसने बोला एक काम करो, रेंटल सर्टिफिकेट में मुझे बार-बार लगता रहता है, तो जो एक काम कर 25 कॉपी दे दे तो चलिए मैं देते रहो, चलेगा? बिल्कुल नहीं चलेगा। उसको बोला 25 बार उसको देगा, उतनी बार लिख देना मेरे को, है ना? तो लिस्ट ऑफ डायरेक्टर के लिए भी लेते हैं तो 25 बार किसी से ले जाओ, उन सबका फीस दो ना देखो, और हर बार कहीं से ले जाओ अलग-अलग यूनियन में एक बार सर्टिफिकेट लेके 7 बार बांटते बैठे हो, स्टेशन पे बांटने के लिए पैम्फलेट थोड़ी बनाया हमने, राइट? Unless we respect ours, there's no one else is going to respect us.
We have to address to the director. Then can you say appointment?
No, that is to have to have a restriction of use para, no sir.
What we write?
So if he is asking for this tender, write that he is asking for tender to be submitted to NDPC, tender to be submitted to IOL, tender to be submitted to ABC, tender to be submitted to A. For far more.
Like we are like, this certificate is used on, this certificate is issued on the request of the client to submit to the that.
Yeah. Yeah, for onward submission to what? Onward submission. फर्क चेंज कीजिए ना सर आप। किसी को IAS वाला सर्टिफिकेट उठा के NDPC को देगा तो उसका टर्म्स अलग होगा, पता नहीं मेरे को।
It has to have a shelf life.
मैं तो बोल रहा लिस्ट ऑफ डायरेक्टर के लिए भी मेरा एक क्लाइंट है वो लोन बहुत लेता रहता है, उसको लिस्ट ऑफ डायरेक्टर सीए से सर्टिफाइड चाहिए होता है, लिस्ट ऑफ शेयर होल्डर चाहिए होता है, हम बैंक का नाम लिख के नीचे लिख के देते हैं कि इस बैंक को इस पर्पस से दे रहे हैं, तो जितनी बार वो लोन ले रहा है उतनी बार मैं सर्टिफिकेट बना के दे रही हूँ और उतनी बार उसकी चार्ज कर रही हूँ।
Of course. So that is what that's what I said. We have to know how to, we all know how to earn, but we have to reiterate how to earn, and also we have to respect ourselves, otherwise they will treat us the way we are, you know, some of us are being there. So it has to be, we have to command respect this. So again, ये मैडम वाला क्वेश्चन भी है, उसी ने उस क्वेश्चन पूछा रहेगा, पता नहीं intended use make in India, right?
Madam, list of directors and list of shareholders, whether we can give the certificate.
Yeah.
Our company secretary has to give the certificate. Preferably company secretary.
मानते हैं,
But we can give that sort of.
Yeah, if you ask me a categorical question, then I would say it is a public company or a private limited company. Private limited company, smaller the population, there is no requirement to open a full-time CS, then we will.
And we can.
If there is a full-time CS, then that person take the responsibility.
Or else we can take breakfast.
Next, कौन नहीं करता? कंपनी नहीं करता।
Company secretary से देना.
नहीं कंपनी सेक्रेटरी से हम लेके हम इश्यू करेंगे वैसा नहीं चलता। क्योंकि इंग्लिश मतलब इंग्लिश is the same footing, right? Yes, yes, almost same footing.
This is important. Legal.
All known,
Yes.
right? Clear and unambiguous wording in the certificate forms.
अभी आपने पूछा उसका भी बोलने वाले थे ये जो लिस्ट ऑफ डायरेक्टर लिस्ट ऑफ शेयरहोल्डर्स की बात हुई ना मैं जिस दिन सर्टिफिकेट देती है ना हम लोग उसकी एमसी की वेबसाइट को डाउनलोड भी करते हैं और हमारे सपोर्टिंग डॉक्यूमेंट में रखते हैं कि जिस दिन हमने किया उस समय एमसी की साइट पे
ये that's your corresponding outcome. So this entire 1.5 hours, whatever I've taken exercise, sorry. So I think whatever time we have spent on this is entirely on how to mitigate the risk, right? Yeah.
Cooperative banks are generally.
Ah.
Correctly from the account. Correctly extracted from the user account. That is possible.
So you will have to then make a complete report saying that what is extracted, which line item, what are the things that you are seeing, and then only provide. Right? Misrepresentation, incorrect information, legal liability for errors and omissions, fraudulent use of certificates, which is most common, non-compliance with ICI guidelines, proper documentation, verification, adherence to ICI standards. Right? एक छोटा इंस्टेंस फ्रेंड का एक फॉर्म है एक सर्टिफिकेट वो टेंडर के लिए देते हैं तो वो अथॉरिटी जो है तो भी सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट स्टेट गवर्नमेंट वो लोग कभी कभी भेजते हैं ना हम लोग को कि वेदर यू हैव सर्टिफाइड वैसा उसको आया तो देखा नाम उसका था डिजिटल सिग्नेचर एज सच ठीक रहा था उसी का है यूडीआईएन था बट उसको ऐसा शौक लगा कि मैंने तो किया ही नहीं उसके क्लाइंट से इतना वो नाम ही नहीं था तो उसने ध्यान से देखा लिमिटेड रिव्यू रिपोर्ट जो पब्लिक डोमेन में मिलता है उसमें से डिजिटल सिग्नेचर का पिक्चर कॉपी करके हमें दिखता है यूडीआईएन जो है 2 साल पहले का कोई ऑडिट रिपोर्ट जो पब्लिक डोमेन में है उसका चिपकाया है ठीक है और उसने खुद ने सर्टिफिकेट कराया और लेटर मतलब ऑलमोस्ट सिमिलर लेटर को बन जाएगा कलर वाले डाल के उसने बना दिया वो ऑलमोस्ट सिमिलर था बट उसमें भी एक दो मिस्टेक्स थे वे ऑफ राइटिंग सर्टेन थिंग्स एंड राइट साइड लेफ्ट साइड वो वाला दर्जन था बट ये हुआ था तो आई थिंक आई हैड मेंशन्ड इन वन ऑफ द मीटिंग्स मैम दैट यूडीआई भी मास्क होना चाहिए यूडीआई भी मास्क होना चाहिए तो कंसर्न पर्सन है वो रिक्वेस्ट करे और हम पूरा एविडेंस बताए जैसे आधार मास्किंग होता है वैसे यूडीआई मास्किंग होना चाहिए नहीं तो दिस गिव्स मी अ स्कैर पता नहीं हमारा जनरेट किया हुआ यूडीआई कौन कौन किधर किधर यूज कर राइट और ये किया उसने और हमने इंस्टीट्यूट को भी लेटर मैंने उसको सजेस्ट किया कि इंस्टीट्यूट को भी लेटर लिखो एसटी को भी लेटर लिखो और फिर वो तो तीनों तरह
ये लिमिटेड कंपनी को किसने यूज किया
कोई एक एक्सपायर्ड कंपनी लिमिटेड कोई तो एक कंपनी है कहीं तो नहीं उसने टर्नओवर के लिए टेंडर के लिए एक गवर्नमेंट अथॉरिटी को उसने टेंडर अप्लाई किया ठीक है उसने टेंडर अप्लाई किया तो फिर वहां पे उसको टेंडर के लिए नेटवर्क का सर्टिफिकेट चाहिए था अभी क्यूरियोसिटी से मैंने उसको ये भी बोला चल एनसीए सर्च करके देख मैंने 5 साल का सर्टिफिकेट टर्नओवर वो कंपनी खुली 2 साल पहले ठीक है तो ये पब्लिक डोमेन में जो डिजिटल सिग्नेचर का इमेज है और यूडीआईएन है कहीं से वो शायद हमारे चिपका दिया
Company has done that, to obtain that tender.
yeah but it is fraud but then
No, but it was for the CA certificate.
That's
So that central government entity sent to my friend's firm saying that I will certify.
then no, it's not.
So then she replied, made a elaborate reply, and then she said.
मैडम शेयर तो एसएमएस आता है इंडियन चेक होता है तो शेयर को एसएमएस आता है तो इशू किया
अरे नहीं चेक नहीं करते हम लोग ये बोलता
ये तो चेक नहीं हो
वो कंपनी ने
कोई डाउट आया होगा
हाँ
उसको भी डाउट आया है
हाँ करते सर
Before you end, I will just on the CSR.
yes UDIN we spoke about right consequences of issuing an incorrect or misleading certificate we all know that right should not be issued certificates without proper verification I will give the example without thoroughly verifying supporting documents, financial records, vague misleading language, whomsoever it may concern, outside CS professional expertise, professional competence or legal opinion or medical reports. Okay, unaudited financial statements, issuing certain certificates that imply assurance of their accuracy, and ethical guidance beyond ethical guidance, and misrepresenting facts without due diligence. So this is all that we talked about through various examples. Final. We have spoken about all this, so I think I can take it first. Yeah.
Now CSR certificate utilized. Comes regularly. See, if they have done default to CSR process. And for that, they are issuing only for the utilizing, spending the purpose for which it is considered. And we have very good bank and all documentation, everything we have done. Now, whether that default in that CSR law procedure, that is to be mentioned in the certificate.
Yes, yes. You will have
Because
to
you
take
see,
that.
unutilized PSR for the last day, 31st March, is to be returned to the
Right.
company
Yes,
within
yes.
30 days.
You have to
And
mention.
it is not issued.
I
Thereafter, they have received and they want certificate of that utilization.
will give you an example like to that when you are doing valuation of stock maybe. So if there is no provision for non-moving, slow moving, impairment, anything, you need to mention that. This is the value of the stock, however.
One example, in that case, we have to see other laws also, whether that certificate we are issuing, whether they are not following those law and we are issuing their certificate.
Yes. Say for example, the trust to whom you are donating has got a valid registration cancelled. So then your certification may also go wrong. To that extent.
but
But then you will have to mention related qualification if at all. So even if there is no disclosure, even if there is a issue, then you will have to mention that in your certificate. So any related issues you will have to bring out in your certificate. So I would not say it is 100% mandatory, but it is conservative way because ultimately our neck is responsible for such things.
But in that time, I will just say, I refuse to give the certificate.
Yeah, that's.
I said, you are already you have not spent earlier one, how can I certify you for this and it is as per the law and provision I have to do that. But they took that certificate with somebody else.
That somebody else.
That is the problem. That is the problem.
Somebody else is always a. So the only point is let us be not somebody else.
yes, this is what that
Yeah.
is very important.
So, okay, the buck has to stop somewhere. So let us not be that somebody else. And so then they will also refuse it. If three people refuse, that is when.
Then he
तो
will
कभी
decide,
somebody
can
है ना,
decide.
कि हाँ ये यार कोई तो नहीं दे रहा है मेरे को.
And someone is signing, oh, they have been half
Right.
of rupees, half price.
वो तो
अगर
सब.
अगर ये 1 लाख रुपया मांग रहे हैं तो दूसरा 50,000 में भी साइन कर
वही
दिया
हमने बात किया ना 1500 सर्टिफिकेट.
500 बोला जो
डॉक्टर भी आपको 50 रुपए वाले भी मिलेंगे और 5,000 वाले भी मिलेंगे.
तो आ जाएगा वापस.
आपका हाँ, वही.
Yes, madam. I think
Thank you, ma'am. Really, your session was truly an eye opener. You didn't explain the technical aspect, but also brought in much needed clarity on do and do not, along with the ethical responsibility that we as professional must uphold. Ma'am, your practical example, real world cases and sharp insights have surely helped all of us look at our certification process more reasonably and confidently. As we say, असली ज्ञान वही है जो शंका मिटाए और समझ बढ़ाए. And today, ma'am, you have done exactly that. For give a formal vote of thanks, I invite CA Jayant Jain to please give a vote of thanks.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. It is indeed a great honor for me to propose the vote of thanks for today's enlightening seminar on practical insights into issue of certificates and agreed upon procedures. I extend my heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed speaker, Sri CA Padmashree ma'am, for her insightful and detailed presentation. She has elaborated very well what are the do's and don'ts while issuing certificate and covered very important points like reasonable assurance, limited assurance, practitioner reports on title. So thank you very much ma'am. और जैसा कैलाश जी एंड करते हैं किसी शायरी से, तो उन्होंने मुझे भी सजेस्ट किया है कि आप भी एंड करो और लिख के दिया कि शब्दों में सरलता बातों में ज्ञान था. शब्दों में सरलता बातों में ज्ञान था, हर उदाहरण में अनुभव का प्रमाण था, जो विषय था जटिल वो सहज बन गया, पद्मश्री मैम का अंदाजी कुछ खास. Thank you. Thank you.